All right, let's dive right into another wild day in the world of AI. Today's digest is a real roller coaster. We're talking cheating bots, some absolutely massive industry shakeups, and a whole lot of unhappy users. Let's get into it. So, let's just kick things off with a simple question, one that really gets to the heart of today's biggest story. Can an AI actually cheat? And I don't mean in some deep philosophical way. I mean, can it literally game the very tests we build to prove how smart it is? Well, the answer turns out to be a massive, flashing yes. Researchers over at UC Berkeley just dropped a bombshell. They built an automated agent, a bot, that got perfect scores on all the major AI tests without actually solving a single real problem. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to break down how this unbelievable cheat actually worked. Then, we'll zoom out to the crisis of trust that's bubbling up because of it. After that, we'll look at where the smart money is really going, into the plumbing of AI. And finally, we'll touch on the very real human impact of all these crazy changes.
Okay, first up, the big one. This is a bombshell. The team at UC Berkeley's RDI lab basically ripped the curtain back on the entire system we use to rank AI models. And, well, what they found is pretty alarming.
And here's the crucial part. Their agent wasn't some kind of super intelligent mastermind. It didn't outthink the tests. No, it just found really simple, almost embarrassingly obvious loopholes in how the tests are graded, and it exploited them to get a 100% score while doing literally zero of the actual work. And get this slide shows you just how ridiculously simple the whole thing was. To beat a benchmark called SWE-bench, which is supposed to test if an AI can fix real software bugs, all their bot had to do was drop in a tiny little 10-line Python file that just told the grading system, yep, I did it, success, every single time. And it worked perfectly. And we're not just talking about one obscure test here. Look at this list. SWE-bench, WebArena, GAIA. These are the big leagues, the gold standards that tech companies brag about in their marketing presentations. The Berkeley bot broke all of them. Every single one it went up against. And that right there leads to a much, much bigger problem. This isn't just about a few flawed tests. It's about a growing crisis of trust that's starting to affect the entire AI industry, from the biggest investors all the way down to you and me. And here's why this matters so much. The researchers themselves put it perfectly. They said the scores that companies use to justify billion-dollar investments, the rankings that convince engineers to use one AI tool over another, they might all be totally meaningless, built on nothing. And believe me, this is not just a one-off thing. The Berkeley paper is just the tip of the iceberg. If you look around online developer communities, you see this growing skepticism everywhere about other benchmarks, with people pointing out how some of these high scores feel more like gaming the system than any real progress. Okay, so if the public leaderboards are basically broken, where is the real innovation happening? Where's the real race? Well, the answer is in the plumbing. The quiet, boring, but absolutely essential infrastructure that's going to power the next wave of AI. A perfect example, OpenAI just made a super quiet but incredibly strategic purchase. They bought a company called Cirrus Labs. Now, you've probably never heard of them, and that's kind of the point. They built the go-to tool for developers who need to create reliable, safe virtual environments on Apple computers. And OpenAI bought them for one big reason: agentic engineering. You're going to hear this term a lot more. It's basically all the unglamorous background stuff, the sandboxes, the memory systems, the schedulers, that an AI agent needs to actually go out and do things in the world reliably and without breaking everything. The founder of Cirrus Labs put it in a way that just clicks. He said, building for AI agents today is like what building for the cloud was back in 2017. It's not just a new feature, it's a massive, once-in-a-decade platform shift, and it needs a whole new toolbox. And OpenAI is definitely not alone in this race. I mean, everybody is scrambling to build out this foundational layer. Anthropic is offering managed agents to businesses. AMD is putting agent-building tools right on our desktops. Even Cloudflare is getting in on it. The race for the plumbing is officially on. But while these giants are busy building out the future, what's it actually like for the rest of us, the people using these tools every single day? And that brings us to our next big theme, this growing tension between the AI platforms and their own communities. And the loudest example of this right now is everything happening with Anthropic's model Claude. For weeks, users have been saying the model feels, and I'm quoting here, lobotomized. that it's refusing simple tasks, it's getting dumber. And just recently, an AI director at AMD actually validated their complaints with a technical analysis. And we're not talking about a few angry comments on a forum. The feedback has been unusually loud and super organized. We're seeing posts with thousands of upvotes about how the model's capabilities have dropped, how the platform is unstable, even about new age restriction policies. This isn't just noise, it's a huge signal that something's wrong. And then came this. A developer, digging around in the code, found a hidden header in Claude's API that suggests all users, even people on the paid plans, might be getting a lower quality, degraded response half of the time, a full 50%. You know, this whole situation with Claude, it really shines a light on something bigger, a growing fragility in the ecosystem. As the pressure to make money ramps up, we're now hearing reports that major players like Alibaba, the company that gave us the amazing open source Quen models, might pull back on free releases to focus on paid products. Okay, so we've covered broken tests and we've covered broken trust. But let's end on a high note with something genuinely new and exciting that's happening just under the radar. Something that gives us a glimpse of a very different kind of AI future. And that trend is, well, what if robots could learn the same way a human toddler does? Not through years of careful programming, but just by watching. And that's exactly what NVIDIA's new project is doing. It's called Dream Dojo, and it's brilliant. They basically fed an AI 44,000 hours of human videos, just raw, unlabeled footage, and it learned cause and effect all on its own. This completely sidesteps one of the biggest and most expensive problems in robotics. It could make teaching a robot massively cheaper. And the best part? NVIDIA released all the code and models for free. Which really brings us full circle. From broken benchmarks to shady API responses, what today's stories really show us is that as AI gets more and more powerful, the real race isn't just for more intelligence. It's for integrity. It's for trust. And the big question we're all left with is, what happens if we can't tell the difference anymore?